For those looking to improve their lives, there's nobody better to turn to than Paula Shaw. Paula helps people regain successful lives by identifying and eliminating self-sabotaging behavior using a multitude of mind-body techniques to identify and resolve their core issues. Working with a wide variety of healing modalities, she provides her clients with the most effective process for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We got a little technical difficult, but we still going to get through this show. But I tell you what, we got an absolute fantastic show coming your way today. As you know, Thursday, Bridges Beyond Grief, and we got guest co-host, Paula Shaw, and we got a returning guest who's been on the show many, many times. I am excited to have her back, and I'm excited about this topic that we're going to talk about today. I tell you what, you might want to grab you about 6-7 bags of popcorn, sit back, because they put it out there. They're going to put it out there. You know, how you doing, Michelle? How you doing?
I'm doing great, and we love having Paula, and we love having the returning guest Amy on the show. And this topic is so important. This is you'll be surprised how this, I would say, issue, how I would say caregiving has increased over the years, and it's just going to increase some more. But they're going to talk to you about a different perspective regarding this specific topic on caregivers.
Wow. So I tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching us on, if you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do is go to the comments on the platform that you're watching us on, ask any questions that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. Michelle, can you please, first of all, I got us. How you doing, Paula? You're going to be running the show pretty much. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So glad to be with y'all. And our guest today is one of my favorite people in the world. So couldn't be more cozy and happy and feeling more comfortable than I am with the three of you.
Wow. So Michelle, can you do the honors by introducing the title of the show, the purpose of the show? Give Paula a slight introduction, but introduce this absolutely great returning guest.
Oh, yes. So the title of today's show is called, this is a Bridges Beyond Grief series, and the title of today's show is called Helping the Helpers. And our guest host, Paula Shaw, who is a life transitions expert, grief specialist, keynote speaker, media host, and author, has a sit-down conversation with Amy Scruggs. Amy's a media executive, TV host, recording artist, public speaker, corporate spokesperson. And they're going to talk about the truths about caregiving and how the caregivers are giving support, anticipatory grief, and the grief journey of the caregiver. So guest today, again, Amy Scruggs. She's been a standout in country music for over 20 years, performing with legends like Clint Black, Trace Adkins, and many more. In 2022, she released a Fred Mollin-produced EP featuring the hit single, What If It All Goes Right? Former TV host and respected media coach, she helps professionals elevate their presence on camera and on stage. In 2024, Amy became the full-time caregiver for her father, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and passed away in March of this year. She embraced this role with compassion and strength, sharing their day-to-day experience through heartfelt social media vlogs. Her candid posts provide practical advice, emotional insight, and a powerful sense of community for fellow caregivers. Through her openness, Amy continues to uplift others, walking the challenging yet meaningful path of dementia caregiving. PBS selected one of Amy's dementia care videos to feature in the national promotional campaign for the Bradley Cooper documentary on caregiving, recognizing her as a trusted voice in the caregiver community. Please welcome back to the show, Amy Scruggs.
I love when we all get together. Magic happens.
Wow. Well, hey, welcome back to the show, and welcome back.
Thank you.
A condolence still goes out to you and also you, Paul. And I think that's going to be a major portion of the story today, is to discuss some things that might be able to help others. So, so I got a question for both of you all in the beginning, then I'm going to turn it over to Paula. What are some of the common misconceptions people have about caregiving?
Ooh, that's a great question, JC. Amy, shall I throw my hat in the ring first?
A misconception is that it's just easy.
Near my question, but okay, go, Amy, go.
Sorry, I thought I was so focused. I just think a misconception is that people think it's just kind of easy. You're just at home all day, and how hard can that be?
Oh, that's a great misconception. That's really a good one. And I think another misconception is that you sort of have to become this saint, like Florence Nightingale, like you always have to be patient. You always have to be kind. You always have to put yourself second and put the welfare of the other person first. And since we've both been in this role, I in a different way than you, Amy, but we both know that's not possible, because we don't stop being human just because we're in a caregiver situation. But certainly the role, if I may say, reeks with all kinds of changes and things that we have to accept and roll with that we might rather not. So I think, Amy, one of the great ways for us to start this conversation is, because some people may not have seen your last show, give us a little bit of your backstory of what you were doing and the changes you had to make when your father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's?
Thank you, Paula. Dad was diagnosed years before I realized I would need to be a caregiver. I think there was a misconception in there that you're diagnosed and you're kind of okay and you're still with family and you're just losing your memory, right? That's what everybody just assumes with Alzheimer. You're just losing your memory, and that's what the disease entails. And then you blink and the next minute you're in a memory care and you're towards end of life. I realized there's this big section I called the gap. And this is when I noticed that my dad was still fine to be at home, but not okay in the condition he was in and needed care, that there was going to be a gap of certain things that he can still do on his own, but also making sure that we work on his physical health and keeping that going strong and well, that he could still increase in his mobility. He was wasting away, basically. So we have this gap. And all that goes with that of still giving them quality of life, sense of purpose, and all the things that go in the middle. And so that was about that late stage 5 and 6 on the 7 stages that they have with dementia care, especially, but with any caregiving, regardless of where they're at, it's not just my loved one is in bed and they're non-responsive and this is caregiving. There is caregiving at all levels, even in a basic level of making sure that they're safe, happy, well, and still have love and purpose. And so with my journey with Dad, that was my entire purpose, coming in to say, is he loved? Is he safe? Am I keeping it activities that make him feel like he's still a part of the decision and has purpose? Assisting him with dignity. So there are a lot of these different roles of never telling him no or you can't. But yes, hey, let's try it this way, and making it his idea so he still felt fulfilled. And we did this for 18 months until he took a turn due to a stroke, and I lost him within 2 weeks. That's when the non-responsive or the in-bed care took place of full hands-on. He couldn't do anything for himself. He was definitely declining before that of needing hands-on care for his grooming and his self-care and his dressing and bathing and all of those things. But he was still him enough that I had to make sure that it was done with purpose and joy and dignity. And so there's a lot of elements in different stages of caregiving, and it's different for everyone based on how their loved one progresses and whatever their disease is. For me, that was Dad's, and then the sudden loss. And I say sudden because we went from our normal routine of his decline to him being gone 2 weeks later. And that was just in March. And I am still my new title, when somebody asks, who am I and what do? I'm a recovering caregiver, because my heart and mind is still so entrenched in that experience, and my entire life and day revolving around his best interest and his needs, that I am still trying to remember what it's like to not be a caregiver. And so, of course, what do? I stay immersed in the caregiving community to help advise and support others, because that just opened my eyes to a lot of the things we're going to discuss today.
But that really is one of the beautiful outcomes. I think most of our listeners know I also lost my father in December. And, the old saying, make lemonade out of lemons. One of the things Amy and I are now doing together is working to provide support for caregivers and support for grievers, and working with the caregivers in this experience of anticipatory grief, which we're going to talk about in more detail in a little bit. But sometimes life throws you a curveball and it flattens you. And sometimes it throws you a curveball and you catch it and you say, what can I do with this now to try to help somebody else not experience the same pain I did?
Yes.
So I think that's one of the good things that's coming out of this. And one of the things that occurred to me when you were speaking, Amy, was a couple of weeks ago, we had a guest, David McNally, who also took care of his wife through her whole last year of life with Alzheimer's. And he's an author, and I was reading his book. And one of the things he said is, the patience and the adjustment in attitude that you have to have, because his wife would ask him the same question over and over again. And he said, I knew I never could say, I just told you that 10 minutes ago, because she'd be so hurt. So there are all these aspects of the whole situation, that a lot of people don't even realize. that you had to experience in a situation with Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hey, hold that thought. We got to take a station break. I tell you what, this is an absolutely fantastic topic that we talked about. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do. Yeah. Dr. James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I'm the first segment I thoroughly needed to hear. I know that a lot of you out there needed to hear that as well, but it's so much more coming your way. So much more coming your way. And I tell you, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Michelle, I think you got a question.
Yes, Amy, before you started being a caregiver for your father, did you seek any advice on maybe what to expect? I mean, besides maybe resources, did you dig in a little bit deeper? I know everyone's situation is different, but is there something you wish you investigated a little bit more about the whole process of caregiving before you started this process with your father?
Yes, I could say I wish I had had a magic ball that had given me maybe even 6 months notice that this was going to be happening, but I really had like a 1 week notice. So it was, I feel like I ran into the building that was on fire with a fire hose. But also, yes, I immediately got any books that I could on caregiving and support and understanding Alzheimer's. So I started reading immediately. And then I realized that at our fingertips here in this amazing virtual world, that there are support groups and there are other people who probably are well advanced into this than I am. And so I just started joining support groups and just listening and watching and observing. And so whenever my dad was asleep, I would spend hours reading everybody else's story, seeing what advice they were giving, reading all the comments on the advice that was given. So I absorbed as much as I could immediately. And I was able to make some pretty drastic shifts right away in understanding how I needed to be working with and responding to what his needs were, because education is power. And so the quicker you can educate yourself, whether you're coming in right now, whether you know this is coming up ahead, maybe a loved one is just being diagnosed, it is never too soon to get educated in the, especially the dementia space. I think for all of us, we will be impacted with a loved one, a neighbor, a friend, or ourselves at some point. It's hitting too close to too many families. And the sooner we can all educate, and if it doesn't, amazing, then we can also support those that we love that are going through it as well.
Thank you.
Mm. And I think probably a lot of our viewers are aware that the fastest growing segment of the population is seniors. And that's why Amy and I feel that educating and helping and supporting caregivers is so important, because Amy just said pretty much everybody's going to be touched by dementia. I think pretty much everybody's going to also be touched by caregiving.
Yes.
Even if it's just what I went through in this last week, which was, well, actually not just this last week, but in several weeks, trying to find, quote unquote, a place for mom. Mm-hmm. Because my mom needed to go into assisted living, and there's such a plethora of places out there, and you want it to be a place where she's happy and where the people are kind, and where, you know, if somebody's not at home, and, you know, in your situation, Amy, you had sort of control over what experiences your dad had. But if somebody is not really in a state of illness, but a state of need, a need for assistance, then it's equal. I don't know. I can't say equally, but it's very wearing on your heart, your mind,
just as much caregiving
to find that place.
Yes.
Make
just
sure
as much caregiving. If your loved one needs to be in a facility or an assisted living or a memory care or just any nursing facility, you are still a caregiver, because you're overseeing their care. You're visiting constantly. You're taking care of details behind the scenes. You're handling their household, their affairs, their estate. You're making sure that the doctors are doing the right thing, that you understand their medication and their care. I think it's almost even more difficult, because now you're dealing with that many more individuals that you're connecting with at the facility versus, well, the buck stops here. I know what's going on. I think caregivers that are assisting the facility caregivers is an enormous responsibility.
It is. It's pretty darn huge, I have to tell you. And may I say, I'm very impressed with the, what do I want to call them? The staff that I have encountered at these places. And I've visited many. Starting with the website, A Place for Mom, they just gave me so many options within days, you know, a day probably, once I contacted them, because it's scary. It's an experience most of us have never had until we have it. And one of the things I wish I had done that you're so good at, Amy, is look online. Find those online support groups, because one of the things you and I are very aware of that we're trying to supply for people now is support. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of support that's out there. And maybe, Amy, you can start with what's online.
In Facebook by itself, you can put in support group, caregiver support, caregiving, and you're going to instantly be introduced to groups that are open to be accepted into. You can ask to join some that are more private. You can choose to stay anonymous, but you can at least go in and view and start getting a feel for other families and other people, because a lot of these groups are caregiving at all different levels. Some might be caring for a disabled child or a parent or a sibling or different diseases and all the things that caregiving involves. So that's definitely a strong way to do that. If you're dealing with a specific disease, like in my case, just because it's firsthand with Alzheimer's. The Alzheimer's Association is incredible with resources going right to their website. They're going to lead you to those support groups that are virtual and in person in your community. And so looking up what is available in your community using Google. And I know not everyone feels that same drive. You know me, I'll just jump right in and go, hey, let's figure this out. But if you're uncomfortable and don't even know where to begin, there's probably someone in your circle that could help you. You can reach out to Paula and I directly, and we'll say, here, let's help you get that resource. Let's help you find that. Because the scariest thing is to not ask for help or to not immerse yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to be an extrovert. You can just watch and listen, and you're going to absorb that support that, if anything, shows you you're not alone and you're not going through something that no one else is and has gone through. That validating right there can make a difference in getting through a day you didn't think you could go through.
Absolutely. And one of the things, excuse me, I was reading and that I've experienced in my professional career, two of the most important things that support groups provide are comfort and connection.
Yes.
Because we heal when we realize that somebody cares what we're experiencing and we can safely share it with them.
Yes.
And when we realize we're not alone.
Yes.
We are not the only one going through this. Somebody else has experienced that. And that's the kind of thing you find when you're online and you're reading other people's posts, or you're in an actual group, support group, whether it's online or in person.
Yes.
Some people do very well in person, and some people are much happier in their comfy chair, wrapped up in a blanket. And so it's great that both kinds of things are definitely out there. Definitely out there. What else did you find was really helpful for you in the midst of what you were going through, Amy?
Well, I'm not just saying this because you're truly one of my best friends, but I'm saying this because of the blessing that I have of having you, because of Paula's expertise as a grief expert and a life change expert. I experienced so much grief in the process of caregiving. It wasn't, I was a caregiver, then lost my dad, now I have grief. There was so much enmeshment of grief during caregiving and then the grief after caregiving. Paula's expertise really allowed me to be able to handle that next indicated thing, to be able to handle in the moment some relief of just like, I'm okay. I can push through this next thing. I'm only human. It's okay if I'm having an off day. It's okay to not understand this. It's okay to see how my body and my even physical symptoms are being affected by this stress and this grief. And so I do see that the grief support alongside caregiving, I think should become a household conversation, that it's a must. I couldn't have just done the caregiving support. I needed the grief support alongside it. And I'm closely working with several people right now. And one who's a dear friend going through this as her mother is still declining. And a big part of our conversations are that grief in the mix, which I know we'll talk about still here on this show, but how that pairs in with the caregiving. Any caregiver is experiencing grief while caregiving, let alone the conversation, of course, we're going to have after the loss. That's a no-brainer. But discussing today grief in caregiving and this combination was what got me through. And Paula, thank you to you being in my life that was the case.
Oh, bless you, honey. Well, you're talking about anticipatory grief. And JC, do we have a second before we have to go to the break? Yeah, okay, good. I'll go ahead. And anticipatory grief, and let's remember, grief isn't just about death. Grief is also about, maybe like with you, Amy, the career you had to give up, the lifestyle you had to give up,
my home. I had to move out.
Yes. And that's part of it too. And, and I'm going through a lot of that right now too. I've got both my mom and my sister who need care. And so I don't have the same amount of time I had before to hang out with my friends or to see clients or any of the things that have always been my life.
Yeah, we can only see each other by doing this show because there's so much involved with the caregiving and the grief in our own lives.
It's so true. It's so true. And yet I'm finding such depth of satisfaction and joy in being able to, as I said before, make lemonade out of the lemons that we've been dealt and use the experiences that we've both been through to help other people.
Yes.
And that population that needs that help is growing by the day. And I hope that we have the stamina and all we need to keep being there for people who need our help.
Yes.
JC, do we have to go to a break, or can I ask another question? Or Michelle, did you have a question?
James, I think you're on mute, but if not, we have one more question to go.
Oh, good.
Okay. My question is really, Amy, do you feel like you're starting to get to know yourself again?
No. What I'm trying to find, I think that my mistake was thinking I was going to find the myself that I knew before I was a caregiver. And the more that I am accepting that my new self involves all of that experience and grief and joy and loss, is now created the Amy I am now. And the more I step into, okay, which part of those now are a part of who I am as I step forward, because I was grieving so much what was lost. And now I'm realizing that the loss is a part of the future and a part of today. And I think that that is going to continue helping me as I navigate that, and that it's okay that I don't know. I tell myself every morning, it's okay that you don't know what's next. It's okay.
Wow.
I think the one of the hardest things that people experience is they want to get back to normal. They want to get back to the way things were. There is no return to the way things were. There's an acceptance of the new normal, and the new normal can be even better because you've experienced something profound. You can be wiser. You can have more depth, more empathy, more caring.
Yes.
You know, there can be a lot of wonderful things in the new identification of self.
Yes.
But it won't be like it was before.
I can't unknow what I know now.
Perfect.
You know, we got to take a station break. This is so extraordinary. I'll tell you what. Join in with the conversation. All you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any questions. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll be back shortly after the break.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Cooley. Heart disease research saves lives. It's that simple. Thanks to medical advancements funded by the American Heart Association, more women are surviving heart attacks, strokes, and other cardiovascular diseases than ever before. But there's still so much work to do.
Hi, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I'm raising funds to support life-saving research because every heartbeat is worth fighting for. In honor of Women's History Month, please join me in support of the American Heart Association and women's health.
The future is here.
Now is the time to pursue the greatness in you. Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith meets future. We are a fully accredited 100% online Christian university. We offer bachelor's degree, master's and doctorate degree programs built for students like you. Affordable tuitions, 30+ degree programs, 100% online and flexible, integrating faith with learning. Study from anywhere at your pace. At VCU, we do not just prepare you for a degree. We prepare you for purpose. Discover who you are, grow in faith, and build a future that impacts the world.
Are you ready to start your journey today?
Visit www.viridianchristianuniversity.com.
Apply today and be among the global leaders.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Well, welcome back to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And I tell you, this great conversation that we're having with Paula Shaw and Amy Scruggs. And just listening to them, Amy served as a caregiver for her father for a while. And I tell you, I gained a lot of experiences and sharing a lot of those experiences with you, because you might be in that situation when we never know when we're going to be in a situation like that. So please listen, ask questions, do what you have to. So whichever platform you listen to us on, go there, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. I'm going to open up with the first couple of questions because I was just sitting back listening to great dialogue. And, Amy, as a caregiver, or other people as a caregiver, I know it's sometimes hard to seek and accept certain feelings, especially when you're going through this and with a loved one, without feeling like a failure. What are your thoughts on that?
I am so glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that in the break as well, because a lot of this Paula is going to be able to help us with too, because we've discussed some anticipatory grief, knowing our loved one is going to A, B, or C. But as a caregiver, the grief of that worry of, am I failing my loved one? Did I make a wrong decision? Could I have prevented something? I would be afraid that if I took the 2 days to myself and wasn't there, if he has a fall that day, is that my fault? Should I have been there? We tend to take on that ultimate responsibility that everything as a caregiver falls on me, for the household, for the loved one, like for Paula, for decision making for her mother. Let's say there's something there that she finds out at the facility isn't what she thought it was. Would you feel like, oh, I could have found better? Maybe I didn't research enough. Did I not look at enough reviews? So we tend to put it all on ourselves, because I don't tend to see great caregivers that are people that are innately selfish and don't care. The one that usually rises up to care for a loved one is usually that one that's the people pleaser or over the top, making sure that everybody's okay, and the fixer of, let's say, the family. And so you're dealing with, I would say, a lot of those personality types that are going to take on that persona. And so there is that grief of, am I doing a good enough job? And then, like, the few times my dad did take a fall, I was like, oh, if I had been there, if I had not run to the restroom, if I had, been paying more attention, or what if I had not stayed up watching TV and been more rested, I would have been more attuned to his needs. I tend to beat myself up. Paula, I would love your advice in the grief part of that, of the self anger, the self beating ourselves up for not being perfect.
Well, I think the perfect antidote to that is self-care, which is one of the things I really wanted to talk about. In everything I've read, and certainly in my own experience, the importance of self-care, because you know what, if your well runs dry, doesn't matter who lines up with their little tin cups looking for water, you've got nothing to give.
But without guilt, can you touch on that?
Well, that guilt is such a natural reaction, because you're right. Those of us that rise up to that role are usually very giving, and maybe even people pleasers. And so we've got to develop a boundary, realizing self-care is not selfish. Self-care is critical to your surviving and thriving and having something to give. You
I
know,
think that should be on t-shirts. Self-care is not selfish. I just had to say that again because that's something that needs like a big, that needs to be digested for most of us. Sorry, please.
yeah, it's so true. And I think it's so easy for us to guilt ourselves, or everything you said, Amy, is so right on. We always feel like, oh, I could have done more. I could have done more. But we have to remember, everybody, where just because we take on the role of caregiver doesn't mean we are no longer human. And humans have emotions. And, yesterday I was driving home. And as I'm driving home, I'm thinking, oh, I wish I'd have been a little more patient with mom when she did this. And then let's not forget, kids, people get crusty when they're older and ill. They can be stubborn. They can be insulting. They can be a handful to deal with. And we're just humans, And so we have to give ourselves some slack. We have to love ourselves and not just judge ourselves. Oh, that's a t-shirt too. Love yourself. Don't judge yourself.
That's the shirt.
Yeah, the back of the shirt.
Love yourself, don't judge us. I love that. I got one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what roles do support group play in the caregiving's emotional well-being?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's critical, whether it's, and a support group may just be that you find that one person that's also going through it. And your support group is one key person and, you can reach at any time of day, for the most part, that, is going to be your go-to, your safe space. For some more extroverts, it's like, I need the whole group. I want to be in a giant Zoom meeting, or I want to be in person. It's whatever your personality type, but support is just that. The only thing that's not an option is alone. So anything above alone,
Yes.
100% yes. Alone, not an option. You won't mentally survive caregiving alone. You can't. We're not meant to.
That's brilliant, Amy. And I mean, magically, I was on an airplane the other day and I was reading the book that will be coming out soon on Anticipatory Grief. And the woman sitting next to me at 41, having just gotten married in December, is now having to spend months at a time away from her new husband, taking care of her grandmother. Okay. And all the issues we are discussing here came up in that conversation. Give, and then feel unappreciated or get snapped at or criticized.
Yes.
Having given up her life. And not, I was able to talk to her about support systems, about the work you and I are doing. She didn't know. So that's why I was so excited about this show today, because we want people to know it's okay to be human. There's help out there. There are all sorts of resources that are free even.
Oh,
and
yes.
Getting professional help is critical because you are now in a situation that on some level is 24/7 stress. That's kind of what you were describing, Amy. We're either second guessing ourselves, or we're second guessing others, or we're hoping that the others that are involved in care are competent. It's a lot, isn't it?
It was so much. I was never fully relaxed or not thinking about his care, even in the times I wasn't with him. It was grueling. And then you go into even more. I'm already subject to always being in a state and of fight or flight, just after raising 4 kids and, 25 careers and different lives and all these things. So this just stepped that up the next level. But I think that's been a common thing that I've noticed with a lot of caregivers is that exact situation. And especially when you're sacrificing or giving up or changing your own life you have been building to stop and make sure you're caring for this other person. There's so many things involved in that, and having that professional help, having a sounding board, whether it's, taking one of our workshops or, finding, even if you're just starting with a book, because that's all you can think about doing, do that. That first step is going to open you up to realize, oh, there is more I can learn. There is support I can get, which is going to alleviate some of these heightened fight or flight instincts that we have with the guilt, with the fear, with the worry, with the grief, with the loss, all of the things that go along with caregiving. And it is thankfully starting to become such a bigger conversation. I'm noticing more and more. I'm seeing a lot of celebrities step into this role as well and say, hey, this needs to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Hold that question. We're going to take a station break because I don't want to get off in the middle of something right here. And we got when we come back, you see that we got a question or someone is commenting. I want both of you guys to comment on that one. So I tell you, we're going to take a station break. We're going to come back shortly. And I tell you, all you have to do is just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
At Viridian Christian University, we believe education is more than just a degree. It's a pathway to a purpose-driven life. Whether you're advancing your career, pursuing a passion, or building a new future, VCU's 100% online programs give you the flexibility to learn on your terms, anywhere, anytime. With expert faculty, personalized mentorship, and a faith-centered approach, you'll gain the skills, knowledge, and leadership you need to make a lasting impact. VCU offers bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees, each designed to empower you for success in today's fast-changing world. Join a global community of believers, learners, and leaders. Ready to start your journey? Viridian Christian University, transforming lives, empowering futures. Visit us at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. That's ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
Hello Africa, greetings to you wherever you are. The Africa Trade and Investment Conference 2025 kicks off from July 9th to 11th. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania is where the future is gathering. Register now, don't miss this chance to connect, learn, and lead. Come hear from the leaders, the visionaries, change makers, and policy drivers shaping Africa's tomorrow. It's all about building prosperity through trade, innovation, and continental collaboration. With strong support from trusted partners across sectors, this is a united front for progress. Together, we rise to build a stronger, smarter, and more connected Africa.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and it's like I said, Thursday. Bridget Brown Grief. Paula is always outstanding. She always brings outstanding guests. She brought a returning guest, been on the show several times. And we're talking about caregiving. We're talking about the stresses, the emotions, and all of those things that are associated with that. But before we start into this, I'm so excited that Sunday I will be heading to Africa. I am one of the keynote speakers at the African Trade and Investments Conference, and I will be interviewing several dignitaries, including the president of the country, the Queen of South Africa, a couple of other folks. So I tell you, stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's going to be big, and and also I want to talk a little bit about this university, Viridian Christian University. Yes, I'm the chancellor of the university, and we have had 3 graduations so far. And our school, I tell you, if you're looking to further your education from a Christian perspective, Viridian Christian University might be the university for you. We offer over 36 degree programs, accredited. Yes, I did say accredited, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and honorary doctorate degrees if you're doing above and beyond in your community and your life and you're uplifting others. So I tell you, if you're interested in furthering your education at a affordable rate, we are probably 1/4 the cost of any other university out there. Check us out. You'll see what we're talking about. ViridianChristianUniversity.com. ViridianChristianUniversity.com. So I want to get back to this absolutely fantastic conversation that we're having. So I'm going to start off with the first question. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Paula.
Okay.
How can family and friends step in and support the person that's giving the caregiving, and because they probably don't understand what's all going on? What's some of the advice that you would give families out there that could help out in a time of need? Not just the caregiver herself or himself, but getting them involved. I lead up with you, Amy.
2 words: active listening. When you ask somebody, how are you, what's going on, listen for that answer. Listen for maybe their distress or sadness or confusion, because it's easy to say, oh, how are you, in passing. If you're in this vulnerable space and you're a caregiver, you really don't want to answer that if it's unsafe. But if somebody really is like, listen, tell me really, how are you? And you're ready to have active listening without judgment, without your own opinion, without your own story about how you knew your cousin Margot took care of Aunt Martha and it should have been this and that. Active listen. Just that, just being a sounding board for somebody can change their perspective and their ability to move forward.
And I would add to that empathy and what's the other word I want? Just connect. Really, as Amy's saying, when you really listen, then an energy shift happens. The person speaking feels heard, feels understood, actually experiences some healing. So have that empathy, have that ability to put yourself in somebody else's place, and then, step up. Offer help.
Yes.
Take on some of the responsibilities yourself, because it's a lot. It's a lot for anybody. And Amy, 2 things I would like to have you discuss before we run out of time, because this time's flying today. One, our website and how others can find it if they're interested in any of the things we are doing, the support that we're offering. And also in reading on this topic, I saw that, and you, I think, mastered this, organization, scheduling, and planning with your caregiving duties and interaction with the person you're caring for are critical for giving you a sense of calm and knowing where to go next. So if you could talk about those 2 things, I think that would be really helpful.
Excellent. Well, first, Paula and I teaming up is just, years in the making of our own stories and our own history and journeys. We already had this beautiful friendship, not knowing that our paths would collide with experience in such a powerful way, but realizing how many others need this same. And not everybody has a Paula and Amy connection, but we are here for you to be your Paula and Amy, to say, here's how we can partner, those practical hands-on tips for caregiving alongside that grief support, because again, hand in hand can make such a difference and eliminate some of those fears and questions. And so we have dementia care aid, .com. So come visit us there. You can fill out a questionnaire. We'll get back to you. You can, have some group help. You could have individualized help. You can have both of us, one of us combined, whatever you feel like your needs are, your level of caregiving. We are here to support you in that. And so I just encourage you to reach out and take a look and let us know you're there and what your needs are. We might be able to really help make a difference or direct you in the place that can be the most help for you. And then I'm sorry, Paula, your second, my post caregiving brain just went, wait a minute. Oh, item number 2 is organizing your day, correct?
Yes. And scheduling and planning. Yeah.
Scheduling, planning. Yeah, I think as humans, we like to have a plan. Most of us are like, if we kind of know what going on, it helps minimize insecurities or fears. I think we all feel out of control when there's just random chaos. And so anytime I can get in and feel like I'm in control, and that meant just maybe the control of the morning, saying, well, this morning we're going to do this music time, or we're just going to have quiet time out looking at the birds, or this is the doctor's appointment time. Actually taking a look at it in bite-sized pieces, even in half-day chunks, the day doesn't feel so overwhelming, or else it really does turn into the 36-hour day. But if I can look at and say, well, this morning, all right, we can have a lovely time doing this. This can be the bathing time or the self-care time. This can be that, some gaps in there just for even some quiet time, also building in, and I love that Paula brought it up, the self-care. That doesn't mean we're selfish, but all right, like when I would put dad down for his nap is when I would go for my walk or run, realizing that I needed to have that balance for my own health. And it was scheduled in the day, so my day didn't feel like it had no end. And I think anytime we can put even the smallest bit of planning into our day, especially as a caregiver, the easier we can be on our own mental health.
Yes, absolutely. And again, I'm glad you mentioned that self-care, because that's what sustains us. That's what makes us able to get up tomorrow and do it again, and still come from a loving, open heart, because we want to do that. That's why we're doing the self-care. But we have to remember, again, we're humans. We get angry. We get overwhelmed.
Yes.
You know, that's what I noticed yesterday. I came home and I'd had a wonderful experience. We got my mom all hooked up in a beautiful place to live.
Oh.
But then there's still always something more to do and 5 more people to talk to and other things to arrange. And it becomes overwhelming. And exhaustion can be a problem.
Yes.
So, hey, sometimes a 10
and the paperwork.
Oh, yes.
The paperwork and scanning documents and finding this. And in your loved one, we may not know where their documents are, and the stress of finding things and dealing with that as well. So planning that in. Maybe there's a time that you have set aside that you know you're going to gather important documents and have things ready for the next thing. So when that next situation happens, you're not as stressed. And also, Paul, on the flip side, for the loved one we're caring for, when the day was planned, the loved one feels more validated and important. We all like to know, hey, we've got something planned for you. There's a purpose in your day. It might be helping folding laundry, or it might be something simple, or a fun activity, or the baking that we did. But the one you're caring for also likes knowing that they have purpose and that there's a plan in their day at whatever level they are of need.
And I think that gives them a lot more of a sense of peace and calm as well. Yes. And that's what we're trying.
And reduce agitation and all the things that then fire us back up. So it's this vicious circle that we can help navigate and mitigate as best as possible.
So one more time, Amy, the name of the website?
DementiaCareAid.com, and come and visit us there, and set up a time with us. We'd love to help and see where you're at and assess and what kind of support we can provide for you in your caregiving journey.
As you see, the website, I posted it on there. So, hey, please reach out. Please reach out. And I tell you what, we are out of time, but Amy, Paul, you hear almost every other week. Amy, you got a standing invitation. You already know that. Now,
such a blessing as always. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all for coming on the show, putting this together again. I'd like to thank Michelle for always putting together a great show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners out there for tuning in to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And always dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. And we'll see you then.